Respawn takes their first stab at single player. Is it magic or a mess? I'm GhostRobo, and let's find out. Titanfall 2 is coming out this week, and for the first time in the franchise, introduces a campaign mode. This has been heavily talked about, but heavily kept under wraps because Respawn thought they had something special, and boy do they ever. Now, I won't be spoiling any of the storyline here or any of the craziest moments, but I will be covering what makes this game and what makes this campaign really worth your time. I went in with open eyes and open ears and an open heart, and I absolutely fell in love. Now, I play the Call of Duty campaigns every year, I play the Battlefield campaigns every year, I play most campaigns every year, and shooters have gotten very stale. Titanfall manages to take a lot of that and just mold it and massage it enough to make it super fresh and super interesting. Now, they're not doing anything crazy here, but the combination of parkour, fast-paced action, near-perfect controls, and the Titan pilot coordination creates a single player that, while short, is just a freaking fantastic and ferocious roller coaster of a ride. It does not let up. It's action-packed from start to finish. It has 5 boss fights, Titan-on-Titan action, and to me, that's when the game is at its best. When you've got the Titans going to war with each other, there's some scenes where there are tons of Titans on screen, and the fact that your Titan, BT, can transform into any of the loadouts and a few more from multiplayer is just a really beautiful decision, because now you've got a Titan that isn't just a Titan, but he is a jack of all trades. And combining that with Jack Cooper, the pilot, and their interaction, how they've sort of decided to focus on this pilot-Titan bond, I think it's really smart and delivers a pretty simple storyline that gets a little out there towards the back third, but maintains enough just basic understandability that you never feel like you're pulled in some crazy direction or that you're fighting against some big bad. They keep it pretty low-key and let the gameplay do the talking. And this is accomplished through some really epic platforming sequences and one really incredible level that involves a time travel mechanic that blew me away. The way that it combines parkour, shooting, and this time travel device is legit incredible. One of the highlights of the year, hands down. And that's not the only good level. There's a level through a house factory. I know that sounds crazy, but just trust me, it's really cool. And they manage to, while starting off in simple sewers, take you to heights, quite literally, that really service the style of Titanfall 2. And that means lots of wall running, lots of weapon switching, lots of Titan action, and lots of crazy combat scenarios with tons of enemies. I don't think that the AI is really revolutionary in any way, but it's definitely good enough to keep you on your toes. I played the entire campaign on the hard difficulty setting and found that to be a beautiful spot to really test you without being frustrating. The checkpointing is good, the load times can be a little bit long, but not too bad, and the collectibles are even cool here. You're looking for these helmets scattered throughout the levels, and most of them require some form of advanced parkour platforming skill to reach, and I really enjoyed those moments. There's also some dialogue choices where you're able to respond to BT, and sometimes you end up picking both, so it's not so much a choice as it is the order of things, but I like that they give you a little bit more investment and some personal preference into the campaign. You're not just following, this soldier's storyline. You are the soldier, and when there are those emotional moments, I felt like they did a nice job of making sure that you and your machine were bound enough that you felt the pangs that they wanted you to feel. And that's typically tough with metal that doesn't even really have a face, but they do a nice job of personifying BT and giving him a lot of characteristics and qualities that are endearing and also funny and also enjoyable to be around. There's no one annoying. They keep the human characters to a minimum. There's not really any cheese or fluff. It's a very just quick but awesome ride. I do wish it was longer. It clocked in at about 5 hours, even with my deaths. There weren't too many of them, but given, a dozen deaths or so, it was about 5 hours, and it didn't feel incomplete, but it did feel short. I wish there were a few more of those boss battles, because throughout the game you will face off against these named pilots who have a specific Titan. And it still bears resemblance to the loadouts you see in multiplayer, although with different armor, camouflage, and then obviously a unique character inside. And they kind of do this almost Borderlands style thing where it zooms on the character and pops up their name big on screen, and they give you like a little 1 or 2 liner, and then, you know, the bells sound and the wrestling match is definitely underway. But I love those moments, and I wish there were a few more of them, and I think the crazier they got with the levels, the more fun I had. So given the nature of the story arc, I think they could have done a really sweet space level that didn't really materialize. I also would have loved to see that time travel mechanic come back, but on the other hand, it's really cool that they only have to use it once, and it makes its mark so magically and with so much impact. That is a level that I won't forget, and it did some cool things that I even was like, dude, I'm gonna go tell my girlfriend, and she was impressed by some of these moments because they just sound insane. It's a great game for storytelling and for sharing little moments of your adventure, and even if the plot isn't all, you know, super deep and doesn't have all these moments that you can pick apart, the storytelling comes from you and your pilot Titan adventure, and that's what great multiplayer games do, is they find a way to bring about these water cooler moments, and that's something that Call of Duty used to capture so well. And I think Titanfall 2 does it incredibly well in multiplayer and also in single player, and it is one of the best conversions from multiplayer to single player that I've ever seen. They managed to take the mechanic of Titans and all of the loadouts and put them in this Vanguard Titan BT, allow you to switch and acquire them throughout the adventure. And to me, it seemed like they got stronger as you picked them up, so there was a little bit of upgrading, if you will, even though in multiplayer they're balanced and equal. The way that you acquired Ion and North Star and Legion towards the end, those felt like bigger, better choices, but it may have just been given the scenarios. Nonetheless, it is an empowering and awe-inspiring feeling to see 10 Titans duking it out in the battlefield, and there is one moment in particular where there may be 20 Titans, and it's just incredible. I think the game looks great. It's got a very clean and crisp, but also colorful aesthetic. And again, some of the level variety is really impressive, especially because the game starts in much more familiar territory. You crash land on a planet, you're in a sewer system. From there, though, things get a lot more interesting, and I enjoyed every single mission. Technically, there are 9 missions, although some are broken into multiple chunks. And there's some really cool set-piece moments that I won't spoil, and I like the way that they handled the bond between Jack Cooper and BT, and sort of Jack's rise to glory from this average Jack rifleman up to a pilot, and eventually up to what he becomes by the end of the game, and managing to do that without feeling like, you know, some junky C-tier movie script, I thought was really incredible. And these controls are so fun that I would want to stay in this world for as long as they'd have me. If there were 15 missions, I would love that. And now transitioning to multiplayer, I feel like I'm better equipped to utilize parkour. If there's anything that single player teaches you for multiplayer, it is a heavier emphasis on movement and speed. And that's something that has always been emphasized in Titanfall, but there's not really a good way to train you to do that. There's a gauntlet, which serves as the tutorial for both single player and multiplayer, but I don't think that you'll really understand the myriad possibilities for parkour prowess until after you play single player. So it's totally worth it, even if you're a multiplayer gamer. It is so fun, and they do things with set pieces that aren't possible in multiplayer, and you still get that variety. You get that crash course in all the Titans. Now you can find your favorite in multiplayer, and you get a lot more practice with the platforming and exploring the world and combining gunplay with great speed, all within this 5-hour adventure that I thought was just absolutely amazing. I reviewed multiplayer in a separate video. If you want to check that out, there's a link. I have a full walkthrough of the game if you want to check that out. I'll be playing multiplayer online as well. Just to give you sort of a all-encompassing review, multiplayer I think is phenomenal. I love the variety of modes. I think the 6 Titan classes really upgrade the offering and keep it fresh and fun for hours. I love the fluidity of the controls. I think there is something magical about the in-hand play of Titanfall. It just feels right, from triggers to buttons to the sticks. It just is a glorious game to be a part of. And the single player complements that so well. If there's any complaint I'd have, it's that they didn't dive as deep into the lore of the world. You know, we always saw these monsters off in the distance of Titanfall 1, and where did they come from? What were they about? I wish we would have gotten some more goodies about that aspect of Titanfall on the Frontier. It focuses much more on Pilot Titan, which is probably the smart play, so it didn't get too sci-fi. But I would have loved to see a level or two that maybe put us in the nest of one of these big winged beasts, or in a very feral environment where we were fighting exclusively alien creatures. You do get to, you know, face off against some predators, so I'll give them that, but I would have liked to see that. Nonetheless, both halves of the game are incredible, and I don't know that I could pick a favorite at this time. Maybe after I play a ton of multiplayer, I'll have a better understanding, but single player really did an incredible job of taking the best parts of Titanfall, fitting them to a campaign vision, and delivering. And I've been seeing tons of positive things across the board about how this feels like one of the most fun and fresh shooters in years, and I can definitely reinforce those claims and reiterate exactly that. This is a fresh FPS, and it does not feel stale. Whereas when I played Infinite Warfare in the beta, it felt boring and overdone. We'll see how single player fares. Titanfall 2 on both ends of the spectrum, single and multi, feels awesome and feels like it just hits the mark. And that is exactly what you want. A game that you don't have to overanalyze, a game that you don't have to really think about too much, a game that just plays well, plays organically, fluid, fresh, and fast-paced, and most importantly, fun. This is a fantastic package. If I had to review it, I would give it a 9.5. I think this is one of the best offerings for shooter fans this generation, easily. I can put that claim right on there, give it a gold star, and say this is a glorious game and a beautiful example of how to take a multiplayer game and really find a way to fit it into the campaign format and foundation successfully. Kudos to you, Respawn. You did an amazing job. Big thanks to those guys over there for hooking me up with the game early so I could get through the campaign and deliver you this review before it's even out. I highly recommend it. It's totally worth your money. And whether you play on PS4, PC, or Xbox One, I think you're going to have a great time. Don't let the multiplayer focus overshadow this super awesome single player. It is totally a ride worth taking. Guys and girls, that's going to do it for this video and this review. If you enjoyed this review and want more of them in the future, just let me know in the comments. Hit that like button. I love you guys so much. Check out my other Titanfall 2 content, single player, multiplayer, all that good stuff, other games. It's a big fall season, and we are rolling right through it. So until next time, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I love you. Have a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate, and we'll see you all later.